Hello and you're all very welcome to Along the Line, brought to you by CK Streaming. Coming up in the show, we'll be looking back at the weekend action from the opening round in the National Hurling League, where Tip managed to draw with Limerick. We'll be getting the reaction of Liam Sheedy and John Kiely, while Conal Bonnar will be giving us his views. Tipperary senior football manager Davy Power will be joining us as the Munster champions prepare to open their league campaign away to Limerick, while Tipperary selector Denis Kelly will be joining us along with Peter Rowe, the Tipperary County Board, Philly Ryan and Camogie correspondent with the Echo Mary Newman will be looking ahead to the National Camogie League, which also gets underway this weekend. It certainly is an action-packed week this week, and Sean is with me once again. Well, Sean, how's things?
Well, Tomás, how are you going?
Not so bad now. I suppose starting in Limerick on Saturday, getting the draw, I suppose the only downside to it is Brian O'Mara picking up an injury.
Yeah, before we get started, it's just great to have it all back and everything back in the swing of things now. Just great sitting down in front of the telly and seeing a bit of live hurling, because it's been so long since we've seen it. We've missed it so much now. So it was great to see a great action-packed weekend. But yeah, good result for Tip, in my opinion, because a lot of people didn't expect them to go down to Limerick on their first day out and get the result that they did. I thought, to be honest, that they kind of threw it away at the end, that they thought it was theirs, that the score didn't reflect their performance. But yeah, it was a good result overall. And Brian O'Mara now seems to be out for a few weeks now with a fractured arm. So it's a big loss for Tip, because he actually had a good game. And it's just a serious loss to him now. But it's great to see him go down to Limerick and get such a good result. Like.
Yeah, and Brian McGrath full back. I suppose he started a bit dodgy, but he grew into the game. And I suppose this is his third year on the panel, and a couple of years there, like, people are roaring for young lads to be thrown in, and Liam Sheedy is kind of doing what Brian Cody was doing for years, where giving lads a year or two on the panel, and like Brian McGrath done himself no harm at all the other day, and I think this could be a big year for him.
Could be, yeah. As you say, he's had a good game now, as they say at the start. He went a bit dodgy, but at the same time, Seamus Flanagan was pulling him out to the wing every time, like into that space. Like, it's very hard for a full-back to go out to where your wing-back should be. Other than that, no, he had a good game, in my opinion, anyway. I see he's really settled into the role, and like his second, some people say his debut, but he actually made his debut last year. So his second full match for Tip, and he's playing so well, like, it's going to really, settled him now in the matches ahead.
Yeah, one thing I was disappointed with now at the match, and going through my stats in that there, was Tipperary. They were struggling to win puckouts. Like, they only won 8 puckouts of 27 that were taken long. But when I look back at it, I suppose most of the puckouts that did go along, they were kind of broken, and it happened on Limerick too. On either side, there was no clean puckouts won at all in the air.
No, there wasn't. But you have to think of it too. The teams are only back 2.5 weeks as well, so they really didn't get a chance to practice this, like, because like, the ball is coming so quick and fast now as well. It just could have. It just needs to get the technique back in. But yeah, it did seem a lot of very little clean puckouts being won, caught in the air and won, and like, so that there was a lot of broken ball or puckouts being hit into space and forwards moving on and attacking it. So yeah, it's just going to take a few weeks to get settled back into it, because you could, as you say now, these are more or less glorified challenge matches, as you call it, because as the teams are only back together 2 weeks, it's very hard to get settled and gelled and everything. So yeah, well, hopefully now Liam and the lads will work on this now with the players, because it is really one of the most important aspects of hurling, is trying to win clean, fresh puck out, because it really starts your attack from there. If you can win a puck out deep in the opposition half, you're going a long way to get a good score or a goal even. So they'll definitely work on it and train during the next few weeks.
What you must remember too is that like, Tip had no Shamey, no Brendan. Paddy only came in the last couple of minutes with Brian O'Mara. No McGrath came in there at the water break of the second half. And like, Limerick had Keane Lynch, Gerard Hegarty, Peter Casey to come in there. Like, that was probably the difference there, and Limerick getting the draw. So there's plenty to work on.
Absolutely, yeah. But just what's a worry for Tip too is not scoring from play in the second half. It's a real worry. Like against Limerick, you should be pushing on, and once you have going with a momentum at all, you should drive on and finish like Jason Board scoring 14 points. But some people you have to consider 12 of them for frees. So they need to get more lads on the scoreboard from play, like, because it's going to really help everyone get on the scoreboard against Limerick. Like.
Yeah, but looking at some of them frees though, and looking at it back and being in the stadium on Saturday evening, it was kind of frustrating. But then you have to remember that this new advantage seems to be gone again. Like they were all talking about the cynical foul, but the advantage rule has after been changed. So if you are in a scoring position, they're going to pull up the free, and they're not going to give it an advantage. So there was plenty of times when Tip were in scoring opportunities, but they were fouled. So there's two ways of looking at it: that they should be getting more from free, or they should be getting more from open play, or they were in them positions and they were fouled. So I don't know what they're going to do with this advantage rule, but they're saying now that it was passed the Congress. So the fact that the cynical foul and the yellow card or the penalty was being brought in, this kind of got glossed over.
That's what happens when such a big thing comes in. It really glosses over these small things because the advantage rule is going to take out a lot of goal and scoring opportunities, because you could get fouled on the way in on the goal, but if you're able to stay upright and go, you're going to score 9 times out of 10 in them positions. So it's just going to see how it plays on over the league when lads get fitter and more match experience back. It's just interesting to see how it plays out when teams get fully fit.
Yeah, because we have Cork next Saturday night, and Liam is obviously going to be looking at a few new fellas there again and trying out different players. But Cork looked impressive against Waterford at stages, but I know we have a few of the Rebels shouting their corner that they're going to win an All-Ireland, but very hard to judge after last Sunday.
Very hard, yeah. In fairness, they did impress now. They look very impressive, as I say, at stages. Considering they were playing the All-Ireland finalists, they're still like Waterford, whatever they say about them, they're still the second best team in the country. And then for Cork to go out and put out a performance like that is it was no easy feat in their first day out. But yeah, it is very early stage to be making them types of things, saying they're going to win an Ireland. We just have to see. Next week now is going to be a serious test for Cork, playing Tip in their own backyard. And we'll just have to wait and see, because a few the Cork younger crowd really did show up when they needed it. Scoring 5:22 was a great feat.
Yeah, but even scoring 5:22, was it 2:14 to 10 points up at one stage in the second half, or 2:15 to 10 points? Waterford Waterford scored the next 7 points, and even the last quarter it was it 3-4 to 1-7 that was scored. There was nothing really in it in the last quarter. I suppose it was just the couple of goals, because Waterford actually scored the last 1-5. So it's hard to know. Hard to know where Cork are, because if you look at Waterford, 117 came from Stephen Bennett and Austin Gleeson. Gleeson scored 5 from play, I think. It was a few of the other Waterford players that go, and I can't see the likes of Cathal Barrett or Brian McGrath or whoever is there at the weekend running matter, letting Cork defenders run at him the way Waterford did last Sunday.
Absolutely, yeah. And just seeing the stats here, Waterford scored 19 from play, and that's what you really need, because the free taker could grow bad in the day, and you really need to be scoring more from play than from frees. And to see here as well, Cork scored 10 from frees, so it's Waterford. There is signs there for Waterford. Just don't let the high goal count fool people that Waterford played bad. They didn't. It's just as you say, Cork, they were allowed to run at the defenders and get them chances for the overlapping type things like that. So you definitely won't see that happening on Saturday now, because they'll really be be watching the film of that during the week now at training, and they really won't be given that space to run. They'll be closed down fairly quick.
Yeah, and just touching on the first game of the league on Saturday, Galway went to Mullingar and done what they had to do against Westmeath.
Absolutely, they did. Yeah, in fairness, there was a lose-lose situation for Galway because if they hammered them like they did, people would have said, "Oh, it was only Westmeath," but if they've lost, then they would have said losing to Westmeath. But no, very good signs for Galway. They started strong and they finished really strong as well. Yeah, and Westmeath then, like, in fairness, they tried. They didn't give up. They a few great scores in the match, and it's just like the Westmeath are really going to get a taste of it now, and they're going to really relish from these oppositions because they're going to learn from their mistakes, learn where they went wrong, and they'll know what to do and what not to do in the future. Like.
Yeah, and just looking at the other group, I suppose, well, you're telling me that you said it. You told me before we started recording, and well, I know Conor O'Brien said it on the show last week, but we'll have to look back at whether you said it or not. Antrim beat Clare, I think. Did the two of you predict it, or was it only Conor?
Well, if I didn't predict it, I definitely said it was going to be a very close match, and close it was. As we said, like you hear Don Logan, the son of the game last year, saying that Antrim have no business being up at this division, that they're going to get hockeyed in every match, and then you go and see him beat Clare like that. It's just really, really, you can imagine the scenes that would be going to happen in Belfast if there was fans allowed into it, if things were normal. But no, it was a great game. Antrim really showed what they're made of and really shoved it into Clare from the very start, and they didn't give up. Is what you want to see, Antrim, like, because in the Joe McDonough, playing your own strength teams is one thing, but playing the stronger teams and beating them will really give them serious confidence for the rest of the year.
Yeah, like, you think about what it is that Clare played with Gale Force Wind in the first half, and Antrim stuck with him. And there was 2 points in at half time, but Clare seemed to be struggling in the first half, even with that. Like, Tony Kelly had 8 of their 13 points got, or was it 8 of their 15 points got, sorry. And, like, none of the rest of them seem to be stepping up like this. They go on about the trouble in Clare and that, but Clare hurling seems to be in a bad place because, like, I don't know what they're going to do. Like, I think myself, Shane O'Donnell is living off 20 minutes in 2013 All-Ireland, where he scored 3-3, but he doesn't seem to have done anything since then, and he made no impact on the game at all on Sunday. And when Neil McManus got on top of Tony Kelly in the second half, Clare ran out of ideas. And realistically, Antrim won by 2 points, but realistically, they could have easily won it by about 7 or 8 points.
They could have, definitely, yeah. They had like 6 wides, which are really like to Clare's 9 as well. It just shows their shooting was really on form for Antrim. Like, because Clare didn't know what hit them as soon as the match started, because they were living on scraps for a lot of the match too. A lot of Antrim mistakes, they were living on them. Antrim really take this momentum into the Kilkenny match now this weekend. Just
looking at the other teams in the group, like, obviously the Kilkenny game for Antrim is probably bonus territory, but Dublin and Laois are probably 2 winnable games, and Wexford, you never know what to expect out of Wexford, and Antrim will be targeting that game as well. So there's plenty of potential there for Antrim.
There is, yeah. There's definitely at least 3, if not 4 more winnable games for Antrim. And any team that comes to Belfast now will really have to fear Antrim. Like, beating Clare like that, they'll definitely have to fear them.
Yeah, I suppose looking at Kilkenny and Dublin, Kilkenny had a few new lads out, but Kilkenny are Kilkenny, and they got the job done, as we've seen so many times over the years.
They did, yeah, but in fairness to Dublin, they should have won it. Like, a late goal really killed them off, but they were winning a lot of the way out. And then, as you say, typically Kilkenny, they're able to finish out games when they're close and tight. And if you're rather finishing games when they're this close than winning big games, because it really gives gives the players something early to think about. Like, if you're only barely walking over Dublin, it really give them to think about when up against the big teams. But no, in fairness to Dublin, they gave a great performance, because last year now it wasn't really a great year for them. So to go down to Nolan Park and have a game like that now, they'll take something out of it. They'll really learn from their mistakes, and they'll come on out stronger from it again. But as you say, with Kilkenny, no Walter, no Colin Fennelly, it's really a chance to give the newer, younger lads a run out and give them good playing time, because what you really need is going to be this mix of youth, to take the pressure off the likes of TJ and the older fellas. So it's really going to be a good league campaign now for both teams.
Yeah, and I suppose usual Dublin again, a bit of indiscipline at the end. Liam Rush, 2 silly yellow cards. Yeah,
really killed Dublin. 2 silly yellows, as you say. It really didn't help Dublin's cause now, because they were going well and up. You could say up to that, send it off. But I just seen here, TJ Reid 7 points with 7 from play. He was quiet, other from freeze. But in fairness, Martin Keown, he scored 1-4 from wing forward. He probably didn't play it, but he from wing forward anyway. He scored 1-4. So it's really good to see a different name on the score sheet getting these big scores, apart from the likes of TJ and John Donnelly and the likes. So it'll really give Kilkenny a help. But it's great seeing Dublin. Just seeing here Dublin having so many scores on the board. It really gives them a bit of confidence now coming into the knowing that when they go up against teams with a full 15, they'll really be able to close out a match properly.
Yeah, and I suppose Martin Keown, he's actually a fair prospect for Kilkenny.
Yeah, he is. He's powerful and he's rapid as well. And he's well able to finish, as we've seen. So we would definitely want to Kilkenny's go-to men now in the championship and the rest of the league. Yeah, just looking at the Wexford and Laois game, I suppose the 2 early goals for Wexford, and Laois were always chasing it. They kind of stayed with him, but Wexford ran away with it in the last 5 minutes, getting a few soft goals. They did, as you said, 2 early goals killed them, but just watching a bit of the game now, there seemed to be a very strong win in that as well, so it didn't really help anything. So yeah, Laois, always, Wexford, the pressure was always on Davy to get a good result his first day out after all the pressure from last year. So in fairness, he got the result, but to Laois now, they'll know now what to do in regards to that, stop conceding the early goals, and because they could have really gone better if they hadn't conceded so early. So it's just interesting to see now how they'll get on their league, because it really is an important league for them, because it's going to be their second season up from the Joe McDonough, and last year it was such a write-off year for them. This year they're really going to have to prove themselves now that they're worthy of the best teams in Ireland. So it'll really put the pressure on them now, especially back under Cheddar again now, to really see how he's able to get out the players like Eddie did for the last 2 years. Yeah, because we've Wexford against Clare next Sunday, and Dublin are playing Laois. So the Dublin-Laois game probably could look like a relegation 6-pointer already, but Clare want to get something out of Wexford as well. Oh yeah, all the pressure's on Clare now after losing to Antrim the first day out. They really need a performance badly. And then Dublin and Laois, that could be your 3 teams for the bottom relegation spot. So you just didn't see how that plays out, because it could really put pressure on them straight away. It's mostly going to be on Clare out of them 3 teams, because Dublin and Laois, who wins. There's not really much expectation, but compared to Clare now, you take it 2 or 3 years ago, they were contending for an All-Ireland final, and now to be struggling in the league this early now, all the pressure's really on them when it's playing Wexford. Yeah, and just before we move on there, going back to Tip and Limerick, we got the views of Liam Sheedy and John Kiely after the game, and this is what they had to say.
Brian McGrath and some of the newcomers, Brian O'Meara, did really well, and Limerick didn't get a goal or a goal-scoring chance really for the game, so that must be something that really pleases you.
Yeah. Look, structurally we were very sound. That is very pleasing. I thought we were probably stretched early on, but once we got a handle on that, I thought the lads defended very well. And it's great to see guys like Brian McGrath and Brian O'Meara putting their hand up, saying, they're a year older now, they're a year stronger. Like Carver has done a really good job in terms of their physical preparation over the last number of weeks, and as I said, that's a very, very pleasing aspect of the game. But look, we feel we're assembling a good panel, good strong bunch, and we get a chance to see them now. Maybe some more guys again next weekend. So look, it's good. Probably for us, even to get the point it was an important point in a lot of ways, because I think to come in and not get anything out of it after the effort that they put in, I thought our work rate throughout the field was very good. Some of the blocks that we got in, on top class players, I thought was a very pleasing aspect of the game for me. So we worked hard. We stayed in, we hung in, and failed to close it out, but we didn't get turned over.
You didn't score from play in the second half. Is that something that bothered you, or is it something that you stayed in the game all the same?
Yeah, no, look, we struggled to get quality, but we struggled to get on quality ball and find space, and when we did, we didn't really finish it off. So that is the disappointing aspect of our game, and sometimes the final pass was letting us down. But let's not forget, you can play in all the internal matches you like. Nothing prepares you for a game like today, and so that's probably why you didn't see really that real crisp style, that really good, the goal chances. So, in fairness to the players, they deserve great credit. And thankfully, I think Brian O'Mara picked up a small knock, but other than that, I think my squad have come through. The most pleasing aspect is to get through the game and not carry any serious knock, because it's a big step up from just getting together 3 weeks ago, trying to get into competitive, collective tackling, and then trying to go out and play against the All Ireland champions here.
The boys were giving out about the advantage rule on TV. What are your own thoughts?
The game passes me so it goes on so quick, John. That's something I probably have a stronger view on when I get to watch the match tomorrow. It really is. It's going at a fierce, frantic pace. The conditioning of both teams, I think, is exceptional. It was a warm enough evening, and some of those guys put in a serious shift. But look, I thought Colm done a fine job overall in the game. Sure, we always have. If we don't have something to be cribbing about, we're not happy. But ultimately, I thought he done a fine job in the game. I thought there was a good flow to the game. There was no dirty stroke, and both teams came out to play hurling, and I think for the first time it was a good day's work.
You've caught next league a different type of challenge.
Yeah, there's no shortage of challenges on our side of the group anyway. There's loads of heavy hitters. So when we've Cork next week, and then we've Galway the following week. So yeah, look, isn't that a great thing? It's really good preparation. If you want to find out, how good a guy is and how ready he is for championship, well, why not go out and play the Limericks, play the Corks, and play the Galways, and after that, then we've Westmeath and Waterford. So whoever gets to the end of this league, we'll have a really good sense of how championship ready they are, and that's great news for us.
Did you want the sort of forward line to finish probably a little inexperienced, we did the struggle there probably the last 10 or 15 minutes. I suppose they've got to see what it's like against the best team. 100%.
I mean, that's a learning curve. If you're going to face up to the Kyle Hayeses and the Richie Englishes and the Dermot Burns, they're top class defence. So no better way to learn. You can be messing around and tippy tappy, but there's no tippy tappy out there with them boys. They're serious defence. So it's a great education for any of our younger players, and it's great to have got them on the pitch. And every day is a learning day, and they learn loads. And those boys down there, especially younger guys, they're mad keen and mad to learn.
And I suppose what were you most pleased with? That fourth quarter response was pretty good.
Yeah, I suppose we struggled a bit at times. Both sides had their purple patches in the game where they had a bit of control in the game, but maybe coming out of that third quarter, we weren't in the best of shape, and we just needed to steady things down. And to be fair, we didn't panic. We kept trying to do the right thing and stuck to the process, as they had to say in inverted commas. But we stayed with what we were meant to do, and we didn't go off script. And I think you keep at it long enough, you'll get enough out of it. Probably think that draw was a fair result in the finish of both sides.
It's hard to keep that rhythm, John, I suppose, after the long break, and Tip were, in fairness, tirelessly working. Was it hard to keep the momentum throughout? And I suppose you think about purple patches and the likes, and maybe not too many stood out today.
Yeah, I suppose. Listen, we've worked really hard over the last 2 weeks, and at times, we were possibly a little bit leggy out there, but I think the attitude was really the big question today, more than anything, to be honest with you. And I think they passed that test, particularly with the final quarter. It's always difficult to know where you are before you're coming into these games. So I think we'll have learned a lot from today. I think we'll have found out a lot of where we're at, but we still have to go back and work really hard during the week again for the next couple of weeks. So, we'll enjoy the work, but the games at the weekends, we're looking forward to see how we'll progress through those as well.
A couple of positional switches as well. Kyle Hayes, obviously centre back, Sean Finn, full back. Were you happy enough with them?
Yeah, very, very happy. The boys worked really well. That's Kyle's first game now in full at 6. And he's going to need a few of those to settle in there. I think particularly the way Tip played the game today, it might have been a real challenge for him to play at 6. They played the ball down the wings a lot, and they didn't even waste any ball. So it was a challenge for him to be patient today. I think really more than anything.
You look at some of the lads coming off the bench. I mean, you had 2 hurlers of the year, I think, coming off the bench with Peter Casey, who scored a couple of great points as well. So you must have been satisfied with. I suppose when they came on as well, it was kind of around after the second water break, wasn't it? Around
it was, yeah. And listen, they brought that element of composure, but they were anxious to get on the ball too. This is their 15 or 20 minutes to show their hand for next weekend. They don't want to be sitting down out there again next weekend, do they? So that's their opportunity to put their hand up and say, listen, I want to be playing next week, boss. So that's important too, and hopefully we'll see plenty of that on Tuesday night in training as well.
John, with the application of the new advantage rule for straight today, because it seemed to be a lot more freeze than usual. That's obviously the way Conal is told.
Did you do a count on the freeze, John?
No, but we didn't do it anyway.
It was 21 to 10. So you know who had the most of it. But, that goes without saying. So yeah, listen, there was a good lot of stoppages. Yeah, there was a lot of stoppages in that regard. But listen, maybe on the other hand, the referees haven't exactly had a chance to referee any games for the last 6 or 7 months either. So I don't know when Fulham last refereed a game. So they've got to get a chance as well over the next couple of weeks to get some game time in and get their decision making up to scratch as well. So they're in the same boat as ourselves. We're all trying to improve what we're doing out there. And there's a little bit of getting used to the rule tweaks there, that advantage rule in particular. There's a bit of getting used to that now. That was a big change today, I thought. Graham has just went over on his ankle on training Friday night, so hopefully 2 weeks. And Declan went over his ankle last weekend, so he's a week into it, and he was back running today. So hopefully he'll do a full session by Friday maybe. And nothing too serious. They're all doing okay. Just little bits and pieces they picked up in training, that's all.
So Neil Martin said he didn't expect any crowds back, till July at least. That's the end of July, talking about the end of summer. Does that seem like a long way off, given the games are back?
Listen, things are changing fast, right? July, what they're saying about July now, in 2 weeks' time, that could be thrown out the window. So we'll see. We'll let them at that. There's enough for them. That's above my pay grade. Let them at that. I'm sure they'll be under plenty of pressure to try and get people into these places and get their 20 quid off as quick as possible before we're all broke. So, yeah.
I just got the impression at the end, though, that the game kind of finished, that the crowd was just really missed again.
Sure, listen, if there was a crowd here, it would have been great. Yeah, it would have been great. And it would have been great, geez, you can imagine, after us being down for 6 points down and coming back, the crowd would have been great, Sure, what can we do, we just have to grind it out the next few weeks, and hopefully we will get people back in the stadium, and instead of it being 5%, hopefully it'll be 25%. So, yeah, we'll stay on the positive track, please, God.
John, is maintaining the on people's track any sort of motivation?
Not at all, no. We're just taking it game by game now, and listen, we did well to come back there and get a draw there now today, and we'll move on. We've Galway next week. That's where the focus shifts now straight away. So no, that's nothing to do.
As a follow-up to that question, though, I mean, when you're on a winning streak and you have momentum behind you, surely in any sport you want to keep that momentum going.
But sure, Jake, lads, 5 months off over Christmas and the New Year, and lockdowns and every sort of thing. I think the momentum has really, we're all at the bottom of the mountain, and we all have to climb the same mountain over the next 2 weeks.
The winning mentality or the winning.
Yeah, well, we hope we won't lose that. But definitely we're all at the foothills of the same mountain for the next couple of months, and starting from the same position, I think, really,
Well, that's the views of Liam Sheedy and John Kiely. Joining us now along the line to look back in the game is two-time All-Ireland winner Conal Bonnar. Conal, how are you getting on?
Great, Thomas. How are you keeping?
Not so bad at all now. I suppose getting out of Limerick with a draw we've struggled against them the last few times.
Yeah, look, you'd have to be very, very happy. We had a few new debutants. We had some of our more experienced players. But in looking at the game, it's probably the first time we've competed with them for the full 70 minutes of a match. I'd say in over 3 years. They've beaten us in the championship a couple of times. And the few times we played them in the league, we didn't look like we were anywhere near them in terms of matching them for power. But yesterday now, I think our attitude was fantastic. We competed really, really well. And you'd have to be very happy. I think Limerick didn't play particularly well, but our attitude was fantastic. And every time we got on the ball, we attacked at them and we got an awful lot of frees. And the only disappointing thing is we didn't close it out.
Yeah, because like I said there, the frees, Dan McCormick and Alan Flynn done a lot of work, and they were actually fouled for, I think, 9 or 10 frees between them there during the game. Like.
Yeah, look, every time Dan McCormick got on the ball, he took on his man. Niall O'Mara took on his man. And the Limerick lads are so competitive and they're putting in the hurley, and like the ref did blow an awful lot yesterday, and probably blew more often than he would normally or we'd normally expect in a match. So that attitude when you're winning the ball, and in fairness to Dan McCormick, he's very, very strong, and he was getting on the ball, so he was able to pick it up and take on the challenge, and that produced the frees. So that was fantastic, and that competitive game that we played. But look, the reality is we didn't score from play since the 23rd minute either, and only 3 of our starting forwards got a point each. So look, some very, very positive things from the game, and then some things you'd be concerned about.
Yeah, because looking at Dan McCormick, you couldn't see it on the television. I actually watched the game when I came home, but he seemed to drop back into his burst elite position, sweeping back ball, but he was moving forward when he got it as well. Like my own personal opinion was Dan McCormick was one of the highlights of the game. But if you look at some of the newcomers, like Brian McGrath done himself no harm either.
Yeah, Brian struggled at the start of the game on Seamus Flanagan, I think, just the way they were playing in the ball. But actually, watching the game back, I think Brian O'Mara or Brian McGrath was probably the highlight of the debutants. Like to start poorly or to start under pressure, to come into the game, he came out on 2 balls in the first half really, really well. And some of his touches then in the second half were quite good. I liked his composure. I like the way he settled into the game, and I think he could make it. I really, really do. I thought he might have been a bit slow as a minor, but he definitely seems to have come up a gear. So, and I thought it was quite impressive yesterday.
Yeah, I think a couple of years on the panel would have actually helped him before he would have got his chance to.
No, absolutely. Look, that helps. I was in a year before I started playing, and absolutely that brings you on a ton. In terms of, look, if you're in the panel and then the next year, like you want to build on that, you want to start getting a place, or you want to start getting a place in the panel for match day and all that goes with that. So absolutely, being in there, playing with the players who are playing, competing with them, and grows your own confidence. If you're beating guys who are on the team inside in training, you're beginning to believe, yeah, actually, I can do that. So I think absolutely, building on it year on year, and I was very impressed with him yesterday.
Yeah, Barry Hogan in the goal as well. No, he wasn't tested, and it's probably a positive for Tip that Limerick didn't have any goal chances. But just looking at him, and they're saying that both himself and Brian Hogan, they're not big between them. Now, Brian has probably got a bit of stick over puckouts and that, but we just looked at the stats there from yesterday. Tip had 33 puckouts, and 6 went short to their defenders. But out of the 27 that went long, we only won 8 and we lost 19. Like, would that be a concern for you?
Well, when I was watching the game, so we were 5 points up, and 19-14, and we should have been able to see it out. And every single puck out after that went long, and I don't think we won one of them. So we played to Limerick's strengths, like that half back line broke down every puck out. And it just reminded me of when we played Wexford. And Wexford had a great short game in that the All-Ireland Championship that we won. And they went 5 points up. And actually their next 12 puck outs went long down on top of Porrickmar and Ronanmar. And they played to our strengths. And it looked like yesterday when we had the line in sight, actually we played too safe. We didn't keep possession. We drove the ball down as far as we could into Kyle Hayes and into their 2 very strong wing backs. And we didn't win any. So all of the pressure came back. So that bit was disappointing in terms of we didn't vary it once. You know what I mean? So I think a goalie has to take some responsibility during a game as he's making decisions. If his last 2 puck outs didn't go particularly well, he needs to start changing it around. Look, and maybe the backs need to be coming forward and calling for the ball equally. But that piece was disappointing. When the game was in our grasp, we didn't actually change the game around. We played to Limerick's strengths and we were kind of hoping to hold on as opposed to try and build on it.
Yeah, and I suppose like Dylan Quirk came in and he only got maybe 7 or 8 minutes, but he'd be wanted to probably look at for next week because he has strength and he'd be well able to win ball, his own ball, especially in the half-forward line. Yeah,
Dylan is good and Mark Keogh is good. I know Dylan locally here in the West. He's a really, really good player. Mark Keogh, I've seen him in the Fitzgibbon Championships and he's been fantastic. So we do have different type of players. But we probably, if we're going to play a long game, we need those players. Do you know what I mean? If we're going to play a different game, well, we have the other type of players like Jake Morris. He didn't really get on a lot of ball. He had I think there was only 1 shot and goal in the whole game, and that was Jake Morris's opportunity. Pity he didn't put it away, but he didn't seem to be on an awful lot of ball throughout the whole game. Our whole game seemed to be we get the ball and we take on the man and we get a free. And that was great because we were really competitive against a very strong Limerick team. But we created very, very few chances.
Yeah, and I suppose I know, as you said, they're winning frees and that, and they're managing to get scores, but you do want your players scoring from play as well.
Look, absolutely. You need to be creating those scoring chances. But in reality now, most of the scoring chances, or most of the frees, were scoring chances until they became frees. Like Willie Connors there in the second half, racing through the middle and was brought down. That would have been a score from play. So there, of the 14, I think he scored 12 frees. Of the 12 frees, there was probably 4 or 5 of those that were scoring chances from play as well. But we weren't creating enough because I don't think we were winning enough of ball in the forward line. And then equally, I think particularly in that last quarter, we didn't try and create chances. We just tried to hold on to the lead, keep the ball out as far as we could. And in particular, when Limerick brought on Keane Lynch, Garrod Hegarty, Keane Lynch in particular got on an awful lot of ball. He was very, very confident. He was very particular with the ball, and he made sure that the play was kept going. So they were looking to win the game. They were looking to come back. I think we were looking to hold on.
Yeah, and just looking at another few positives, like Seamus Kennedy at centre back, he let down a marker there as well. Like Liam Sheedy has said that he wants to look at 25 or 30 players over the 5 games. So when you do get your chance, you're more or less going to have to take it, because especially when you've that amount of fellas there that he wants to take a look at.
Absolutely. Look, it's going to be Sunday after Sunday. Most players that played with Tipperary yesterday can be very, very happy with themselves. I thought Seamus Kennedy was very solid in the middle. He mightn't have hit an awful lot of ball, but I think he got on quite a lot of ball. He was very solid, and Limerick didn't run through the middle of us. You know what I mean? So he was there stopping that attack. So I think a lot of the players that played yesterday can be very, very happy with their performance. I'm glad to hear that Liam is going to try 25 players, but he equally needs to, by the time he's getting to his last game, he needs to be getting to a settled kind of setup where the guys are playing with each other and confident with each other and ready to play in the championship, because that will come very, very quick as well.
Yeah, because just talking about Seamus Kennedy there again, you obviously wouldn't see it when the place is full with supporters and that, but when it was just the media there, he's actually a good man to talk. He done a lot of talking there to the lads in front of him and to his two wing backs. You kind of need that in the half-back line.
Look, he's a very impressive lad. I remember after they won the All-Ireland, and he had a 4-day diary on the 4-day experience. And you just couldn't be but impressed with him. His honesty, his integrity, his modesty. But equally, he's a real strong individual. I've seen him play football with Clonmel Commercials. He's a real leader. And I think he's a fantastic choice in the centre, because we've lots of really good hurlers and who can give the good delivery and all that goes with that. But in the modern game, you absolutely need to stop the guys running through the middle. And on the basis of yesterday, I think he shows that he's able to do that.
Alan Tynan will surely be worth a shot there at full forward, maybe even in the half-forward line.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to try something new, like 12 frees yesterday, and add in Ronans, that's 13 frees, so that's 7 points from play, 3 points from your starting forward line. I think it was Dan McCormack, Niall McGrath, Willie Connors got a point each, and then Jason Ford got 2 from play. So that's not going to win you a championship match, and only 1 shot on goal. Like if you look at Cork there, they scored 5 goals. And they were constantly threatening the goal. They were constantly running down on the goal. So we're going to need more from the forward line. We're going to need to create more chances. And if that's a different variation of the forward line, then we'll have to go with that.
Yeah, and Cork's tails are going to be up after the victory over Waterford next Saturday evening.
Yeah, look, they were quite impressive. Like, they were typical Cork, and Waterford were typical Waterford in a way. They were quite loose at the back. But at the same time, I think Cork might have had 10 shots on goal. They hit a couple of wides when they were going for goal. They got 5. So, that was a real focus for them. Our focus seemed to be taking on the man, getting the free. And a lot of that play seemed to be in the middle third. We didn't really get around our inside back line. We didn't really get running on the goal, as far as I could see. So it was a different type of game now that we were playing against Limerick. And maybe that was specifically for Limerick. But if we're going to beat Limerick, Limerick seems to just win matches on points. We'll outscore the opposition on points. They not particularly concerned about goals. And it's going to be very, very hard to beat that, because they're really, really strong and really good at it. And I think we're going to have to threaten the inside that 21-yard line a bit more.
Yeah, just looking at next Saturday night, looking at Cork and Cork in general, looking at their game plan. I know Donald O'Grady is back in advising and that to him, but they were playing a lot of off the shoulder. They had 2 or 3 lads running off the shoulder and running at defence instead. They ran at the Waterford defence. And Cork have flattered to deceive over the last few years. But with the new rule, the cynical rule of that coming in, the cynical fouling, it could nearly suit Cork with Cork the way they run at defences. Like we seen them against Waterford and the goal chances that they did create.
Yeah, I think that will suit the Cork forward line. Like Cork haven't won All-Ireland for the last couple of years. It's not the fault of the forward line. Like Patrick Horgan has been immense, and they put up some amazing scores. It's just that they concede easier than other counties. So it's in the back line that's their biggest challenge, I think, in terms of not giving away the free, not conceding easy scores, not conceding those goals. This new rule will definitely suit the forward line, and they'll probably chalk up more scores, and you couldn't have a better free taker than Patrick Horgan. Like Jason Ford was fantastic yesterday, but Patrick Horgan has proved to be the best free taker of the last 10 years in terms of finishing and even from play. So I think it will suit Cork, but the jury, for me, would still be out in their back line. Waterford still got in for an awful lot of easy scores, and Cork will, and maybe Donald Grady is going to make the difference there. But if Cork can sort out their back line, they're absolutely there for thereabouts for the All Ireland.
Yeah, because they seem to be in the top 2 or 3 every year, but as you said, it's just a few easy, simple mistakes that's letting them down. Seen 2 years ago, Patrick Horgan had the game of his life against Kilkenny, scoring 3-10, and it was the defence that let him down again that day.
Yeah, and it's not that the Cork backs are bad players. They're all good hurlers, and they're coming out with the ball, but they're all the same type of player. Like, Cork could do with a Seamus Kendig at centre back or full back. If you know what I mean, that type of player who actually just holds up play, who's going to be strong, who's going to stop the people coming through the middle. They tend to have 6 backs who will play the ball, mark their man, and come out with the ball, but they don't have a stopper. And in particular around the goal, they always seem to concede goals that cost them huge, that other teams don't do.
Yeah, well, sure. Look, Saturday evening tell a lot. Just touched on the other games. I suppose Galway done what had to be done against Westmeath. I just seen a few comments on social media and that Westmeath had no business being in Division 1, but Westmeath are there on merit. Like, they got promoted last year, so they need to be there. But then looking at the other games, I suppose the result of the weekend was our own Darren Gleeson above an Antrim against Clare.
Yeah, look, that has to be really worrying for Brian Lohan. Look, going up to Antrim for any team is always going to be difficult. Antrim were quite good, as you remember, back when we were playing. So that was always a difficult task. And, you know, it was never a shoe-on win. They were guaranteed going up there. But Brian Lohan will have to be worried now about going up to Antrim. Antrim, while they are, and they looked impressive there today, like over the last 3 years, they weren't particularly impressive in the Christy Ring Cup in that division. Like the likes of Carlow, Westmeath were pipping them. Even Kerry were pipping them at times. So, like, they weren't coming up with huge track record. But obviously, the training with Darren Gleeson, and obviously there's some really good players, and they produced a really, really good result. But I think Brian Lohan will have to be very disappointed now equally. He's in his 2nd year now. He's going to have to do something. He really needs to be making a Munster final. He really needs to be coming out with more progress than what they've had. Like, a lot of these players now won All-Ireland in 2013, and that's a long time ago now. He really needs to be capitalising on that soon, or that generation of player hurlers will be lost.
Yeah, because Tony Kelly scored 8 points in the first half against Antrim, and Neil McMahon seemed to get on top of him in the second half, and there was no leadership from Clare. Shane O'Donnell was non-existent, and John Conlon played centre-back. It's the first time I've seen him back there, and while he was happy to sweep up ball, he didn't seem to want to pick up a player. Like, a lot of scores come off the half forward.
Yeah, and even, look, Podge Collins decided to play football this year instead of hurling. It just sets a tone that Clare hurling doesn't seem to be where it should be, and there's more controversy about supporters clubs and money and all that goes with that than any ambition that you hear out of Clare wanting to win something. So yeah, look, I think they're in a bad place now at the moment, and but they still have some really, really good players, and they'll have to turn it around quick if they're going to do something.
Yeah, because Kilkenny and Wexford to play as well, and Laois is in the group as well. So
I
want to be getting a
saw
couple
the
of
Kilkenny team running out against Dublin, and you're looking at it, and you're kind of saying that doesn't sound like a very strong Kilkenny team. It's not a huge number of stalwart names there, but they beat Dublin quite comprehensively, and even T.J. Reid didn't even score from play. So Kilkenny are always going to be thereabouts, but just on paper at the moment they didn't look terribly strong.
Yeah, well, we've said that a good few times over the last few years, and a lot of people eat their words. Like, so anybody that knows anything about hurling should know never to write Kilkenny off and Brian Cody.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I think it's his 22nd or 23rd year. It's just unbelievable. And he used this league to find a nice balance. And the reality is, like, it's Wexford, Galway and Kilkenny. So, like, two of them are going to come out of the Leinster Championship. So he's going to find himself in the playoffs somewhere. And they're going to be a team to beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Adrian Mullen there. Is there? Like, he's still, I don't think he's 21 yet, and he's captain of the team. Now, I know in Kilkenny they still have it with the county champions, have the captain, but it is a lot of pressure to be put on a young man's shoulders.
It does. But look, there's great pedigree in Adrian and the whole family in the club. I think Colm trained the Shamrocks, or Ballyhale, and Adrian was a young guy coming through then at that stage. And like, they have a lot of confidence, those Kilkenny lads. So I don't think it would cost him a thought now, captaining Kilkenny. And he'll just have the only ambition he'll have is lifting Liam McCarthy Cup. And they're fine players, I must say. So like, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
He's more than welcome to come off the toilet and lift it if he wants. So, listen, Colin, thanks a million for coming on, and I hope to talk to you again over the next few weeks.
Not a problem, Thomas. Anytime. Delighted to chat at hurling any day.
Thank you. Well, the National Football League also gets underway this weekend, and Tipperary, just like the hurling counterparts, take on Limerick this Saturday evening at 5 o'clock at the Gaelic grounds. Joining us along the line now to look forward to the game is Tipperary Senior Football Manager David Power. Davey, how are things?
I'm good, Tomás. How are you?
Not so bad now. I suppose it's great to be back playing football again.
It's great to be back. Yeah, it's great. It's been a long kind of a winter, but the lads are delighted to be back, and we're looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Yeah, like, Limerick are never easy anytime you play them, and they'll obviously have the Munster semi-final in their minds again as motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think we're very lucky to get over the line in the semi-final last year, and I think the fact that we went on and won the Munster final, they're more to know. I think Limerick were probably thinking that could have been easy to us, so we certainly won't be taking Limerick for granted. I know we'll be favourites going into the game, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with. And look, we're just looking forward to the fact that we're back playing football. What we know from in this league, the way it is it really be important to get off to a good start and get a win.
Yeah, because with only 3 games, there's not much margin for error.
No, if you lose your first game, you're putting yourself under pressure for the next 2 games. So it's really, really important for us to get that first win and to keep control of the league. If you keep winning, you don't have to be worried about any other team. It's about us getting that result against Limerick on Saturday, and it's not going to be easy. Limerick are a decent team. They're improving every year under Billy Lee, and so look, we're looking forward to the challenge, and hopefully we can use the confidence of winning the Munster Championship last year in the right way.
Promotion is going to be a big target, like, to build on the success of last year.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and if we can get promoted up to Division 2, I think that'd be another big step for this group. So look, it's going to be a huge challenge. You're playing 3 games in 14 days, and you're going to be looking at your panel to get you over the line. You certainly won't be relying on your 15 to 18 players. You're going to be using a big number of players, I'd imagine, over the next 14 days.
Yeah, and you added to the panel from last year as well.
Yeah, we've added to the panel. We've Philip Ryan there from St. Bridget's from Dublin. He's after transferring to Tipperary under the parentage rule. His uncle would be Denis Ryan, that was on the All-Ireland hurling team in 1971. So he's from they're from the Sean Tracy's country. So he's out and out Tip man, and he's decided. His father would be Tommy. So he would have played minor under 21 and played National League with Dublin as well. He's an inside forward, so we're looking forward to. I'm hoping that he will add quality and depth to our panel. Also, we've the likes of Conal Bonnar come in as well from Mine Tempy, and there's a couple of other good young fellas as well. The Marco Mars, the Kevin Grogans from Care. Then you've Conor Sullivan, Shane O'Connell, Liam Ryan, experienced full backmen that have come in as well. So we've got a number of people that are after coming in, and hopefully that can help us add depth to our panel.
With Conor Reardon go back to Australia and Philly Austin retired, have you lost anybody else from the panel?
Yeah, Liam Casey is going to Australia in early June, so he's not going to be available to us either. So we're down 3 players from last year, and they're three big losses, to be fair, because they contributed highly to us winning those games last year. So, but look, we have to drive on and we have to get ready. Hopefully, we'll have Jack Kennedy back, who don't miss the Cork and Mayo game, and there's other lads then that really have come on a lot as well from the young. So, look, it is missing the 3 lads are big losses, but we have to look with the group that we have as well, and they're going to get an opportunity now as well.
Yeah, like as we were talking there, you've added to the panel, and you've added to the backroom team as well. Decky Brown's experience is going to be huge.
Yeah, Declan is doing a lot of work with the forwards. Look, he's an out-and-out tip football man, and he's going to add not only from a forwards point of view, he's going to just add from the whole management point of view as well. And we're really looking forward. And he's been really enjoying it as well, which is the big thing as well over the last 3-4 weeks. So it's absolutely great to have him on board.
Yeah, because you can see it. You can see it with the hurling, the likes of Tommy Dunn and Owen Kelly and that, and players looking up to them, and all these footballers would have looked up to Declan Brown as well.
Absolutely. Look, he was the first tip footballer All-Star who won 2 All-Stars, and any forward would only love to be coached by Declan, and so it's absolutely huge, and that's what it's and the way it's gone now, it's all about the backroom team. I'm just lucky enough to be the figurehead, and we're trying to put all the pieces then together after that, and Declan is certainly a big piece of our management group.
Before we go, I suppose it'd be remiss of us not to mention Philly Austin retired only a couple of weeks ago, but what a servant for Tipperary football.
Sure, he's after giving 15 years to Tipperary football, and he owes Tip football nothing. And he actually came to the first training session Monday night. We were back, and he actually trained. And I had a fair idea he was going to retire. There was only so much pushing he can. Look, ultimately, it's down to the player himself. And but to be fair to him, he's after giving huge service to Tip football. He owes Tip football nothing. And it's just from my own personal point of view, I would love to have worked with him for another couple of years, because he's a great player to have in a squad, and he's brilliant with the younger players especially as well, to really help to integrate him. But he said one thing to me. He says, Dave, when I started, there might have been only 8 to 12 fellas training. Now we've 35, 40 players that want to play for Tip football. So I think it's a good time for me to bow out on a highlight, I suppose, from the Munster final, and also to see the amount of people that want to play for Tip football now at a high level. So he's seen all the highs and all the lows over the last 15 years. And I just want to thank him for his great service that he's given to Tip football.
Yeah, because coming from the north as well, when it wouldn't be fashionable, he kind of put it on the map in North Tip as well. I know we'd Liam England and George Hannigan and that before us, but if the likes of Stephen O'Brien and Kevin O'Halloran and that coming after. So.
Yeah, well, sure, you have to. You're after mentioning George and Liam as well, and like I know George is already helping development squads. Liam has been involved as well, and I know from talking to Philip, he will get involved in some kind of a coach capacity over the next couple of years too. So it's great to have those football men up there. And helping to promote the game up in North Tipperary, which at times which is not easy at times. So by having those men up there, it certainly will help the promotion of Tip football.
Yeah, well, as you said, Philly owes Tip nothing, and look to see him getting involved with teams in the future. Davey, thanks for coming on the show, and wish you the best of luck Saturday evening, and hope to be talking to you after the match.
Perfect, Tomás, and hopefully we can start with a win, hopefully.
Well, the National Camogie League also starts next weekend, and Tipperary are travelling to Páirc Uí Chaoimh to take on Cork on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Joining us now along the line to look forward to the game is Tipperary selector Denis Kelly. Denis, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Tomás. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I suppose after the lockdown and that, it's great to be back and looking forward to playing matches.
Yeah, it's been brilliant there. It's been great, the National League hurling this weekend, and we've the Camogie to look forward to next weekend, so it's brilliant to be back. No spectators back yet, but still it's something to watch on the television, and it's been great to be back training for the last 3 weeks with the girls inside in Dr. Morris, and it's been really great. So looking forward to the match now next weekend.
Yeah, so there's only 3 in the group, so the pressure is on to immediately get a result and hit the ground running.
Yeah, I suppose we're not looking at it that way. We've been working on a good few things since we went back, and we're looking at getting those things onto the pitch now next Saturday. So we don't feel any real pressure. We're building, I suppose, for the championship. So we're just looking to see, can the girls bring what we'll be doing in training onto the pitch, and look at after that, we'll see how the result goes.
Yeah, because if you look at Tipper knocking on the door the last few years, and they just haven't been able to get that break, reaching All-Ireland semi-finals and that, and they actually made the league final last year, but due to COVID, it was never played. And a big game like that, it was due to be played in Croke Park. That would have helped the girls experience-wise in that now.
Yeah, the girls were very disappointed they didn't get to play that match, because they've been a while trying even to get to a league final, and when they did get there, then they didn't get the chance to play it. So, there was a lot of disappointment over that. But look, they got the chance in the championship and maybe come up a little bit short against Galway in the All-Ireland semis. So you look at they're building again on last year, and year on year they seem to be making great strides. So, hopefully we're hoping this year that we'll be able to add that extra little bit, the few the people that have come in to help the management that was there already. We're just hoping to give them that extra little help that we'll be able to get them over the line.
Yeah, because if you look back at that All-Ireland semi-final last year, you were lucky with, they were unlucky with a couple of injuries going into that game. And have you a full bill of health now?
Yeah, we're a full bill of health, or near enough to it anyway. Maybe Roisin Howard is probably doubtful now at this stage for next weekend. She's playing the Camogie and the football, but she got an injury there last Sunday with us. So she's looking doubtful at the moment. But after that, everyone else seems to be fit and raring to go.
Yeah, and have you many Joe stars this year?
Well, we're looking at Roisin Howard is with us, and we're also waiting for Orla Dwyer to return from Australia. So she's hoping to play both as well. Ashley Maloney at the moment isn't with us inside, but maybe may join later on in the year. She'll see how things are going.
Yeah, and obviously there's no crossover with the senior and intermediate this year. 2 separate panels completely. Yeah,
2 separate panels. There's 2 separate management teams. So I think we have a panel inside of 33 or 4 girls there. So it's hard to get around to even that panel, let alone have another panel of 30 odd on top of that. So I think that the Bill and the team brought the 2 teams together for a good while, and they kind of saw the chance then maybe just to split the 2. It was probably best for everyone involved. There's a big workload involved with a senior intercounty camogie team, and then put an intermediate team on top of that. You're doubling the work. So it was probably the right time to split the 2, and the intermediate team have a great management team over them as well this year.
Yeah, because looking, you're just saying the size of the panels and that, and I suppose a lot of people that wouldn't be familiar with camogie and familiar with lady sport in general, there's a fair amount of work that goes into it.
Oh, absolutely, sure. It's very professional setup in there. You're looking at tip hurlers kind of are you're looking at them and seeing how professional they are. Every team is trying to take a professional angle to things now, but to really open your eyes, the level that these women are going through to get to the top level. They've trained really well. And they're looking at their nutrition, they're looking at the video analysis. It's very similar to all the top teams now. So it's gone very professional, and it's getting more professional year on year.
Yeah, because they are highly elite athletes, and they probably do deserve to get more recognition than what they actually do.
Yeah, it is tricky, all right. There was a good campaign. 2020 campaign was a good campaign. They're trying to even up the recognition between the male and the female sports. I suppose the unfortunate thing was that COVID intervened there as well. But no, look, there is the same amount of effort I see it there. I'm involved with hurling teams as well as camogie teams, and look, it's the very same effort goes into both. But you can see, obviously, the spectator-wise, the camogie doesn't get as much recognition, which is a pity. But look, it'd be great to see the tip supporters getting behind this team, and it definitely would give them a boost. And maybe towards the end of the championship, you'd be hoping maybe some of the supporters would be able to get in and shout on the girls in a semi-final or a final.
Yeah, and just going back to Saturday. Cork are in a bit of a transition at the moment. They've a few retired over the last couple of years, but in the words of Cyril Farrell, in all sports with Cork are Cork, so you know what to expect out.
Yeah, sure. Look, they still have a nice strong backbone there. The likes of Aisling Thompson and the Mackeys, and these girls have been around years and they're not going anywhere. So there's, we're Gemma O'Connor as well. She's one that's retired, all right. She'd be a bit of a loss to them. But look, Cork have a conveyor belt down there, and they have great underage teams. So when one lady steps out, another one steps in to fill her place. So look, we won't be under any illusions. It'll be really tough. And then in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well, they're very hard beaten down in their home patch. So we'll be rightly up against it. But look, they're the kind of matches you want to get. Cork have been top three for the last 10 or more years, and Tip are knocking on the door now trying to get in there, and they're the matches you need.
Yeah, would you have had much contact with them during the lockdown now when they were doing their own programs?
Yeah, well, Angelo Walsh is in with us. He's doing the strength and conditioning, and he would have been with Boris Lee there on the great run they had to the All-Ireland finals. So Angelo is well experienced at this stage. So he was doing a lot of the heavy lifting at that stage. We did some bit of hurling, but a lot of it was confined to doing it on your own, and it's hard to do a whole lot. But on the fitness side of things, Angelo was onto the girls there every week, and they got programs. And in fairness to them, the most of them came back in great shape and were ready to go straight into the camogie side of things.
Yeah, well, I suppose Saturday now will tell a lot. And Denis, thanks very much for coming on, and wish you the best of luck Saturday, and hope to be talking to you again pretty soon.
That's great. Thanks very much, Tomás. Thank you.
So that's Denis Kelly. And also this Saturday in the Rag at 2:00, Tipperary and Cork also take on each other in Division 2 of the National Camogie League. And joining us now to look forward to the game is Mary Newman, Camogie Correspondent of the Echo, and Philly Ryan, PRO of the Tipperary Camogie Board. How are you doing, lads?
Hello, Tomás. How are you, Tomás?
Philly, suppose action getting going now, really.
Yeah, so we're excited about this. I suppose a change in Tipperary, where Bill Mullaney had managed both teams for the last couple of years with seniors and intermediates, and we came very close in 2 All-Ireland intermediate semi-finals there, having led down one year and having led Galway another year and been beaten both years. But now a new departure, we've new management in for intermediate. Bill Mullaney has picked a sizable panel for senior, and so we have probably less girls available to us this year for intermediate camogie. But at the same time, we're excited about it because some of our last year minors over the last 2 years are going to get a chance to play intermediate with some of the more experienced girls. So we're still looking forward to camogie being back, and also this the intermediate Division 2 league.
Yeah, and Mary, it's a long time since either of these teams actually played a game.
Yes, indeed. I suppose the intermediates were really unfortunate last year, losing out. they had their league almost completed for Cork perspective, and indeed Tipperary, I think, were fully finished. Cork had one game to go and were, very disappointed to lose out, when they decided to abandon the league, and then to be getting ready for championship and to be already preparing probably most of the months, the summer months, and then all of a sudden to have the wool pulled out from under the second teams. So yeah, for a lot of these girls, it's the first time wearing the jerseys probably since last March. I think the 11th of March, since these Cork girls would have played with the county. So they're very excited, obviously, to get back. I was speaking to Mark McCarthy. He's at the helm again this year, and he's joined again by his backroom team from last year. So there's no changes there. And he's just looking forward, and he's very excited, and so are the girls. So they're ready to go.
Yeah, Philip, both these teams were actually going well in the league last year when it was finished up.
Yeah, Tip had a particularly fantastic year in 2019 where we won it out. We won out Division 2, beating Kilkenny in the final. I think, I'm not sure it was in Bor, but the venue, but we had a fantastic win in that Division 2 league final. So some of these girls already have National League medals. We have experience on the panel from, we'll say, Sabrina Larkin, Jenny Grace, Nicola Loughnane and Ciara Ryan have all previously played intermediate. But with the new management and the new separate managements, we have a lot of younger players coming through to this intermediate panel. So for Tipperary, it'll be a very experimental team this next Saturday.
Yeah, and just saying, Bill Mullaney has a fairly big panel for the seniors, but I suppose the intermediates don't have to worry about players being pulled off then. Like, they're going to have a second panel for the year.
Yes, so unlike a club where 2 or 3 subs go on your first team and next team they're gone off your junior side, that's not the case with this. So everyone on the intermediate panel sees themselves as being on the intermediate panel for the year, unless of course the senior management pulls up a star player or whatever. That could happen, of course, but at the moment they have 2 separate panels and 2 separate managements.
Who are the people to look out for Cork, Mary?
There's 1 or 2 players who have rejoined the intermediate setup. There would have been players such as, I suppose, Lauren Callan would be one very prominent player. She would have played in that intermediate final that Cork would have won, and she would be hugely experienced. And I suppose, there are a few others. That Aisling Maloney would be another one, very experienced. She's captain the side this year, and she's again somebody. Hayley Ryan would have played in that All-Ireland final as well. So they would be amongst probably the more experienced. I won't call them the older players, because if I call them the older players and got back, they'd kill me. But they'd be very experienced in the setup. And of course, Fiona Level, they're a great warrior with the intermediates down through the years, would have won an All-Ireland medal with that team. So I suppose they're the really 4 very experienced players. And then a lot of that successful minor team 2 years ago coming up as well. Yeah, Jamie Wall's sister would be there on that team as well. She'd be Sarah Hearn is another one, Anya Crowley, a lot of those girls, Hannah Sexton, Gillian O'Leary, Katie Wall, as I say, all very, very experienced players. They might be young, but they've had a lot of inter-county experience under their belt. So they'd be the ones that's supposed to watch out for, and they'd be guided by those older players that we said have that Croke Park experience from 2 years ago, I think, in them at the stage. So they'd be the ones really, I suppose, to watch out for.
And Philly, just for people that wouldn't be familiar with Camogie and that, would it be the same as in hurling if they won an All-Ireland intermediate, they wouldn't be eligible to play intermediate the following year?
Yeah, I think that's what happened in Cork, Mary. The whole panel are ineligible the following year then, so Cork had to rebuild the year after winning it. So it's the same rule in Camogie. I suppose, I don't know what Mary's opinion on this is, but there is an unfortunate rule in Camogie that you must regrade players that had previously played senior, even if they had missed a year because of COVID or because of personal reasons or being away on travel or whatever. They're not eligible to play intermediate this year unless they had paperwork has gone through a year or 2 ago to regrade them. You cannot regrade them this year, even if they hadn't played for the following year. So it seems a bit of a daft rule, but we've missed out on 2 players because they've declared themselves available for the panel this year intermediate, but due to technicalities they should have been regraded last year. that they're not eligible to play this National League anyhow. So it's probably a rule that should be looked at, because there's no point in having a good player idle for several years that wants to play, you know. I don't know if Mary...
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same. In Cork was actually 5 girls who were actually didn't make the senior panel. They were on it last year, didn't make it this year, and unfortunately, because they were told after the 31st of December, it means that they, I suppose, everybody knew they had to get their forms in by the 31st of December. What player is going to put up their hand and say, yeah, I'll regrade, unless you're told you're not wanted by your senior panel? And it happened with 5 players in Cork, and I know all the 5 of them would absolutely love to play intermediate, and they just can't. And you know, I know there was Pro Park rest, like, was there any leeway because of COVID that management we must take into account most of the managements Tipperary and Cork finished on, I think it was the first week in December, was it, or the last week of November in Park Keys. And I mean, what senior manager was thinking about next year? But they were both gutted, I suppose, coming out after losing, and they weren't thinking of the panel for 2021. And I suppose they took Christmas off, picked their panel, and all of a sudden there's 5-6 girls that could have regraded in Cork. And I know one of them personally myself, and she was very, go mad over it, because she really would love to play intermediate. All girls want to do is play, and it's awful, really, because these are girls who probably could bring experience to Tipperary and Cork panels and other counties as well,
The development and the development in the grassroots, that obviously playing effect with minor success in both counties, and seeing it coming through to intermediate and senior.
Yeah, I think Tip and Cork both take under 14 development and under 15, 16 Bs. We enter as many competitions as we can in both counties. And I know we try to field 3 under 14 teams at county level. Cork often field A, B, C1 and C2, often field 4 teams at under 14 county level. So we do try to bring as many girls through and give them the experience in both counties of playing in good company and coming from their clubs through their divisions and or whatever, or into the county scene. So I think both counties are making a big effort to improve the general standard of girls in large numbers at 14, 15 there, which feeds up to minor. And it also is great for retention, because if a girl wears a county jersey at 16A or 16B, there's a very good chance she'll go on to play with her adults, because they're allowed to play at 16. She'll go on to play adult camogie with her club. So the work done by development is not just for county players, it's to get the clubs more players retained as well. I don't know if you have a view on that, Mary.
Yeah, well, what you say is right, because I suppose at the end of the day, it's about keeping everybody playing and keeping their interests going. And as you say, Cork and Tip, but I suppose we're very much the traditional counties, and like Cork and Tip take the game very seriously, and development has been huge. And I know Mairead, the new chairperson in Cork, and her committee are launching a very exciting development plan coming in the next few weeks. But even at club level and divisional level here, we would have divisional, where I don't know whether the divisions work or not in Tipperary or other counties, whereas divisions would have their own little development squads, and then they'd feed into the county development squad, maybe under 14 and 15 and 16. So yeah, it is taken very serious, and I think the rewards are coming through for Tipperary and Cork, and you can see it happening. And I suppose that's where some other counties maybe fell down a little bit down through the years, and maybe kind of fell back a bit at adult level. So, it's it is certainly something that the work has been put in Cork as well as Tipperary, I think, and definitely paying dividends, and hopefully it will continue.
We find often that it's probably at school level that Galway and Kilkenny tend to have huge success, with Loretto and Prez and Kilkenny City dominating for many years, and also some Galway schools there. I don't know, is that right? Loughrea up that direction of East Galway have had big success with schools as well. So I suppose they tend to have their success in different areas than Tip and Cork, So, but I suppose there's still certain counties still very strong at camogie at all ages, But Clare, Limerick, Wexford, Dublin, they all put a lot of work into development as well. Waterford have won St Andrews, Ursuline, and Waterford won a senior A colleges, and Galtier won a Féile under 14A. Waterford have had phenomenal success in the last few years at A competitions, and I think they won a Munster minor camogie as well, didn't they, Mary? So Waterford have been coming really good in the last couple of years at the top level of camogie too.
Yeah, but it's good to see. It's all counties coming on as well. I mean, it's not all about the strong counties either, as you say. I think it's great to see Waterford coming on, and I'm actually delighted to see Kerry coming on as well, because I think it's vital for the game that we have camogie strong in that county as well.
Yeah, well, so it's great to be back attending camogie matches from next Saturday. Yeah. So we'll all be thrilled, and hopefully Tomás, you'll be able to come along with your media pass to Drum GA pitch for the match next Saturday, and it's fantastic that all the different forms of social media are being used to promote camogie, not just at senior level, but at intermediate level, and as the year goes forward, club level and all that as well, Tomás.
Yeah, because the way it's gone now, online is huge, so you need to take advantage of it now. Both media and the likes of camogie and all other sports as well. Online has gone so popular. There's a lot of people a lot older than us that probably this time last year didn't know how to turn on a computer, and now they're glued to matches on it of all sports.
You're right.
So you need to make.
We found that, Tomás. Yeah, no, last year what Tomás was in there, I agree with it, because last year for our club championship matches, there was nobody left in first. I think we had 40 at the first match or 50, and then we would cut back to behind closed doors, and my club and the other club, we actually live streamed it. We just half the cost, and we had people telling us Jesus, we watched your championship match. Fellas that would never have bothered to go down. They all saw it, and we were saying, geez, we had more following online than we'd have had if they were left in. But load of people were talking about the matches, and they watched them, and there was fierce following for the matches. So it definitely was good. I suppose it was the one thing out of COVID that was good for the game, and that it gave it a bit of a profile out there, and hopefully people will continue, and after everybody is allowed back in, we'll still see the matches streamed, because we're losing out big time to other sports that are being maybe have television coverage that we don't have, and it's great that the streaming is there, and it's great that people can avail of it and watch them.
Overseas viewers, we streamed the under 14 finals and 16 finals last year. Now just streamed them ourselves with phones and things, but and had commentators. But we got comments from London and from Germany, telling the commentator to speak up and asking what was the score at half time and all that. So it was great to get a reaction even from overseas for local camogie matches. I don't know if you had the same reaction in Cork, but it does give you a wide audience for every group, and for knockout, quarterfinals, semi-finals of senior, intermediate, whatever. If you stream them, people will watch. But I suppose the dream really is to get the top class, the senior camogie, all those on TV. When you see RT and Air Sport covering, I know Tipperary senior men all 4 league matches will be covered on TV, which is, women's sport. If you can see it, you can be it. If that motto is going to be true for camogie too, we need to get our games up on a national audience also,
Just talking to Denis Kelly there before you lads, and we were discussing women's sport in general, and these are highly elite athletes, and they deserve as much exposure as what men do.
Yeah, but look, we're beating that drum forever. When it's just frustrating, really. But you even see it in little things. I mean, Philly will agree with this. You a lot of lip service, and you should get this, but then something happens and you put it back in the queue. I've seen it happen frequently like that. At the end of the day, you're in the girls. I was talking to a fella this morning actually now, and I said, I was asking him, was the small one coming to go training? It's very wet. It was windy. It was very windy. And he had the small little fella by the hand. He was smaller than her, and he was taking him down. He was shoving him out in the field. But he wouldn't put the young one out at all. It was too windy. I was kind of going, yeah, but you look, she's a girl, so what?
Yeah. But even looking back, Mary and Tomás, it's even to get role models there. When the All-Stars for men and for football and hurling are on TV, the whole nation watches to see who gets the All-Stars. And
exactly
had didn't have the All-Stars on TV. They had it on a social media platform, and it just doesn't make sense following. And you don't create the heroes, the role models. And I know Kilkenny had some fantastic performers in the All-Ireland last year. Tip were thrilled to get 3 All-Stars, but we didn't get the proper exposure to finally getting 3 All-Stars there. So we'd love if next year's All-Stars could be on TV, and the role models for women's sport are up there on national TV as well. I think that's another big step they need to take.
But having said that, Billy, having said that, a lot of the time the Camogie seem to get press. It's bad press, and they're not helping themselves, and they obviously haven't helped themselves in the last week.
True. It's difficult to understand the thinking on it. Maybe they felt that they were given huge priority to a large number of players by putting in the club, suggesting to put in the club championship during the best of weather and pitch availability. But I think most county players are also very loyal club players. I know some of the Tip players are also selectors with their own, and managers and coaches with their own under 16 and 14 teams. And most county players are hugely committed to their own club and loved it last year, where they got full attention for their club for part of the year and full attention to the county for the other part of the year. And I think for the Camogie to follow the split season, this is only my personal opinion, for the Camogie to follow the split season model of LGFA and GAA was the way to go, and there'd be no confusion. You had your season, and Camogie club players were not going to be idle. Every county was going to run their leagues at that time during the good weather. So I think every club player was going to get lots of matches in June, July, August anyway through the league systems. So I don't know if Cork have come out publicly was anything different, but Tip at the management meeting, Tip were saying they'd go for a split season anyhow.
Cork have said if this isn't resolved, that they won't be playing either senior or intermediate next Saturday.
Well, I think from what I can gather, all the players have said it, not just Cork. I think it's come kind of from the GPA, the Ladies Association. I think that was the what I heard from it. But I do know that very, very, very early in the year, before there was any talk about this, when we were all sitting at home doing nothing, I think the new Cork board did suggest that the season would be along the lines of a split season, and they laid out how they thought it could operate. But from what I can gather, they didn't even get a response, or they don't even know whether their suggestion was received, let me say, because I don't think they heard anything back.
There's a big vote happening. Every club secretary around Ireland has got the document now, I think, Mary. So they have to read it for the next few days and then send their vote into their county secretary or whatever. So the voting process has started at club level, Tomás. So let's see how that goes. And hopefully the document plus a bit of discussion will tease out the different issues that have us where we are with the split season.
I looked at it, and like what I just didn't like about one part of it, like it doesn't mention like that while your players are off playing with the county, you can play your league matches for July and August. And I couldn't find that there. And I'm kind of saying some clubs mightn't realise that. I think county boards will have to come out and advise their clubs, you can look after your club player while your county player is playing with the county, and then she'll come back to you and she'll play away. Like I would hope for the face of the game, if nothing else, that our clubs will be sensible and that we'll go the right way. Because I just think this is bad publicity for the game. It's something we don't want. It looks as if we just can't. It basically looks as if we don't want to be the same as the GAA and the ladies football. And look, I just feel we should be all going the same way. We're in a pandemic, and let's all row the same boat and go with. And look, at the end of the day, the players are the most important people. And if the players want to go with the split season, let's go with the players. Let's go with them.
Well, hopefully common sense will prevail over the next few days, and we will have matches to look forward to next weekend and over the weeks and months. Lads, thanks very much for coming out to the show, and I hope we're talking to you both again very soon.
Enjoyed it, Tomás, thank you, and best of luck to Philly for the year and to Tipperary, and I'm looking forward to my first trip outside my county in God only knows how long. So I'll be expecting a big banner welcoming us to the Drum.
There'll be The big Up the Rebels banner in the rag, yeah, Mary.
I tell you.
So that's the thoughts of Philly Ryan and Mary Newman there. And busy weekend coming up now, Sean. 2 Camogie matches, senior and intermediate hurlers and footballers out. So plenty to look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, plenty of action to look forward to now for Tip this weekend, as you say, with the 4 teams being out. And it's great to have them all back now, back in the swing of things, because I'm really enjoying to see how the footballers go in their first game out this year. And I'm also really looking forward to the Camogie to see what they have in line for us for the year now, because it's really going to be a really good year for them, I can see. So it's really, really happy now to see how they go on now.
Yeah, because 2 very good teams there. And as Denis Kelly touched on there a while ago, and Philly Ryan as well, and Mary Newman saying that there's actually been the world of good work done in Tipperary. So these are coming to fruition now.
Definitely, yeah. Because the Camogie, they're really exciting to see him playing. So to see him having back now, it's really going to be exciting to see, and just can't wait to see the matches now and really get cracking on with it.
Thanks very much to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all our guests, Conal Bonnar, Liam Sheedy, John Kiely, Davy Power, Denis Kelly, Mary Newman, and Philly Ryan. And coming up next week, we'll be reviewing them matches, and we'll be looking forward to the next round of the National Leagues. And also, the ladies' football will be underway where Tipperary travel to Cork, and we'll be talking to Declan Carr and looking forward to that game as well. And we'll have Samantha Lambert and Niamh Lonergan looking forward to it as well. So good luck, and we'll talk to you all very soon. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date with all our upcoming shows.